It's very striking that almost anywhere you go in the international aid world these days, whether it's a bilateral aid agency, a multilateral organization, a private foundation, a foreign ministry engaged in aid, or any other aid group, you hear people talking about, and not just talking about, making as a major priority the same four things. What are these? Accountability, transparency, participation, and inclusion. These are important concepts, useful for aid, possibly fundamental transformations of the aid world. But what we also notice, that when one looks past the surface of this apparent consensus, what you see is that actually there's quite a bit of difference among different aid providers about what they really believe about these terms and how they really act on them. It's one of the divisions over the meaning of transparency, accountability, participation, and inclusion has to do with the very question of, should these be part of the development agenda? Enthusiasts of these terms tend to believe that they're intrinsically good things, but some traditionalists are kind of wary of this approach. They say, well, you're adding to the conception of development a lot of terms that risk diluting our conception of development and moving us away from a core focus on poverty reduction. So you have divisions not just about the place of these terms in the development agenda. You also have divisions over accountability, transparency, participation, and inclusion with respect to how they're applied. So for example, a governance specialist may say, oh, I believe in accountability. Look at our program here on public financial management. We're helping the budget office of this country have better procedures. Whereas a democracy specialist will say, no, accountability isn't just some narrow governance function. It's all about political parties and elections and competition. One other area of disagreement over what look like terms of consensus comes when you look at the activities and the commitments of countries on the receiving end of assistance. Many such countries these days are signing on to international initiatives that involve commitments on transparency or accountability. Like, for example, the Open Government Partnership that the United States helped launch several years ago. They make these commitments and say, we're deeply committed to transparency. But for some of these countries, it's really a box-ticking exercise. They're hoping to get some good public relations. For others, it's a serious commitment that leads to real policy reform. These are important terms. This is potentially a fundamental transformation of the aid agenda to take citizens' views more into account, to view development as an interactive process between government and its citizens. But that enthusiasts of these terms are tending to act like we're already there. The consensus is solid. Now let's just move ahead. What we're saying is, actually, the consensus isn't there. Some people are just playing along. Some people have really different ideas about what these mean. And if we're really going to achieve such a consensus, we're going to have to work harder on reducing these disagreements.